This happened to me when I was 8 years old, though I remember it like it was yesterday. Fear will do that to you, I guess, sharpen your memory. At the time, I was a big fan of ghost stories and had read every book the Goosebumps series had to offer, so everyone ended up blaming what happened on my highly vivid imagination. But I know the truth. It was real. My parents, older brother and I, would often visit my grandparents during the holidays, especially summer break. They lived in a big house in the countryside built on very large grounds, perfect for playing hide and seek. The nearest neighboring house was about a 10-minute walk away from ours, and you could only see it across the trees and bushes when standing at the far end of the garden. Its owner would most often rent it out, and so, from one week to the next, we'd notice different people staying over there. So this one summer, we're at the house, and my slightly older cousin is there too. So instead of running around with me in the garden, my brother's locked up in a room all day playing video games with him. I'm bored, hanging out by myself in the garden, and nearing the end of it. I can see our neighbor's house behind the lush vegetation. That is when I notice someone on the upstairs terrace of the house. I get curious. As I get closer to the edge of the property, I realize the person I've been looking at is a little girl. I think she notices me too. It seems like she's looking right at me. I get excited and wave. The little girl doesn't wave back, just keeps on staring at me, which throws me off a little. But, undeterred, I still tell my mom our neighbors have a daughter my age, asking if we could please invite her over to play. The next day, we go knock on our neighbor's door together, and my mom asks if the little girl living in the house would like to come over for a play date. The neighbors, a middle-aged couple, look very surprised. They assure us that there is no little girl living here. I know what I saw. I remember the little girl's white dress in vivid detail. I tell my brother and cousin about it. We gradually become convinced that the neighbors are keeping a kid trapped inside their house. Bear in mind we're just kids, so we decide it's up to us to solve this mystery and save the little girl. We come up with this plan to ask our neighbors to let us in to look for a necklace, which a made-up friend of ours who'd stayed at the house earlier in the summer would have supposedly forgotten there. In our young minds, this is a particularly clever plan. Anyway, the neighbors seem surprised, but they're kind enough to let us in, and soon we're touring around their house, pretending to look for the necklace while looking for a kidnapped child. What's strange is that the neighbors don't seem to mind us being there. They let us look around without any supervision, hanging out on their terrace instead of monitoring us. They only request that we don't go down to the basement, which is obviously where they'd be hiding someone. I decide to go check it out, and my brother offers to come with me, while our cousin keeps watch outside. We slowly open the door and discover an old staircase leading right up into pitch-black darkness. The light switch doesn't seem to work, so we begin our descent into the dark. With each step down, the temperature seems to drop a little further, and soon, we're standing at the bottom of the stairs, shivering. My eyes adjust to the dark, and with the door upstairs still open, I see far enough to notice another door behind a bookshelf at the back. "She must be in there," I whisper to my brother. We walk over to it and call out to the little girl we believe must be hidden behind. Then, there's the thundering noise of a door slamming shut, and we're standing in complete darkness. The upstairs door has been closed. I scream, absolutely terrified that the neighbors have trapped us there. I don't see anything, not even my brother's face, even though he's standing right beside me, grabbing my hand. He's trying to calm me down when a faint whisper, almost like a plaintive cry, echoes in our ears. We go quiet. My brother's hand, squeezing mine, is the only thing keeping me grounded. The whispering sounds get closer. I think there's somebody else here with us. The door upstairs bursts open, and one of the neighbors, the husband, hurries down the stairs demanding what the heck's happening here. Seeing the door shut and unable to open it, my cousin had run out to warn him. My brother and I are grateful, and, later, I thanked him for holding my hand the entire time. I'll remember his shocked expression for the rest of my life. "I never held your hand," he swears. To this day, he still swears this is true. Years later, I researched our neighboring house and found something of note. Before it was built, a car had crashed from the road nearby into a tree that stood where the house now stands. Inside was a family of 3, which included a 9-year-old little girl. The article included a photo of them. The little girl definitely looked like the one I'd seen on the upstairs terrace. However, it's old and blurry. So I guess I'll never know for certain. But I like to imagine that even now, that little girl is still there, roaming the woods. My husband and I recently purchased a new house in the suburbs at an unusually low price. We couldn't believe our luck. We didn't think we could ever afford a place so big so early in life. The house is quite old, which gives it a lot of character. It's built slightly on the outskirts of town near the woods, which is perfect as we own 2 big dogs eager to take long walks. Our only issue is our 6-year-old son, Leo. Ever since moving into the new house, he's had trouble falling asleep. I guess he needs time to get used to his new room. 3 weeks after moving in, my husband had to leave on a week-long business trip. I assure him I'm fine staying home alone with the 2 dogs here to protect us. But I guess I'm more worried than I thought because 2 days after he's been gone, I notice I'm not getting enough sleep, often waking up during the night for no apparent reason. I'm getting tired and keep misplacing objects around the house. Not only that, but Leo's been difficult, refusing to go to bed and insisting the dogs sleep with him in his room. Oh, and also, the fuses have blown twice. One night, as I'm watching a movie downstairs, I suddenly hear a piercing scream echoing from Leo's bedroom. He never had any night terrors before, so my heart's pounding as I rush upstairs to check on him. He's sitting in bed, crying when I enter his bedroom. Around him, the dog's hackles are raised and they're growling menacingly. I have a bad feeling. I try to comfort my son, asking him what happened. He replies that he woke to the sound of footsteps and that a man was inside his bedroom. I know rationally there's a very good chance this was all a dream. But the dogs are acting strange, so I take a tour around Leo's room. Like I thought, there's no one there. That's not enough for him though, and soon, we're going through every room in the house, alongside the dogs, to make sure we're alone. Finally. Leo seems a little reassured, so I manage to get him back to sleep. After checking all the doors are well locked, I head to bed myself. I'm about to fall asleep when Leo's suddenly screaming again, asking for me. Alongside him, the dogs are barking furiously, like they would in the presence of an intruder. I jump out of bed, but realize my bedroom door is stuck and I can't get it opened. I panic, pulling at the handle and twisting it over and over, all the while listening to my son's terrified cries begging for me. Never in my life have I ever been this scared. Finally, I manage to get the door open and rush to Leo's room. He's hiding under his bed when I arrive, the dogs growling and barking by the door. I get him out of there, and holding him in my arms, I ask him if the man from before came back. He says yes. I assure him it was all a dream and that he is safe now. The man's gone. Leo looks up at me, and with a tear-stained voice tells me, "No, Mommy. He's still here. He's standing right behind you." My 2 best friends and I have decided to go camping deep in the woods like we used to when we were in high school. We opted for the same camping site our teenage selves used to favor. It's a 3-hour drive from our hometown. We're expecting to see quite a few people there. But I guess this site's not as popular as it used to be because after driving down a long forest road for a good half-hour without crossing another car, we get to our allocated spot and there's not a single soul around. We're a little surprised, but we settle our tents anyway and start a fire for the night. I don't remember the woods being this quiet. Apart from the sound of the fire, we can't even hear a single animal. At first, our chatter covers the silence, but it's so gripping that it sneaks up on our mood. And soon, even we are sitting there in silence, watching the flames. I was hoping this would be more fun. I'm about to go to bed when the voice of a young woman startles us. "Why so serious?" she asks, smiling. We look at each other as if to check we're not the only ones suddenly seeing her. It's like she appeared out of nowhere. What is she doing here alone? "My site's not far from here," she explains like she's read my mind. "Can I have a beer?" We hand her one, and so she comes to sit next to us by the fire. She's tiny and graceful, and once she's seated, I notice her steps are as silent as the woods. She has that type of face that you feel like you've seen before. There's something familiar about it, something nostalgic. "So is no one going to tell a story?" she asks with a small, teasing smile. We're sitting alone by a fire at night, Seems like the perfect opportunity. Josh, who seems charmed, offers to go first. His story's not that engaging though, and so our new friend offers to go next. She has this glint in her eyes, like she's really excited about what's coming next. It's the story of a girl, she says. A high school girl who's about to graduate. She's a quiet girl, the type you don't notice. Deep down, she's hoping to change that. So, this one night, as she's on her way home from band practice, she runs into 3 boys. The most popular boys at school, in fact. Josh, Ben, and Nick. "That's what we're called," Josh says with a laugh. The girl beams at him, before continuing. The boys ask her out for a drink, say they're going to take her to a party. The girl's excited. She cannot believe these guys are finally paying attention to her. She drinks the drinks, she laughs, and she finally lets loose. Now they're taking a drive, all the way up to their favorite camping site. This sounds vaguely familiar, and I'm starting to feel a little uneasy, but I can tell I'm the only one. The guys are completely engrossed by the story. Meanwhile, our guest looks different now, with the shadows of the flames dancing upon her face. It's giving her an eerie look. "What happens next?" Josh asks nervously. The girl drags his hand to her thigh. "This," she says. A hand is on the girl's body. She's scared. The boys are drunk. They find it funny. Her fear makes them laugh. They laugh, and they touch and touch. The girl screams. She tries to run away. She falls and hits her head. The girl is dead. I don't know if it's the fire, the beer, or this creepy story which reminds me of our last camping trip before graduation, but the girl does look, in fact, dead. There's a greenish tint to her skin. Something's wrong. "What's happening?" Josh whispers, hand still on the girl's thigh. She smiles. It's a wide, toothless grin. They bury her body in the woods, she tells us, eyes gleaming. They leave her there, acting like nothing happened, and they forget all about her. Until, one day, they come back. I have no intention of finding out what happens next. I try to get up, but my legs won't move. The girl is looking right at me now. She's laughing, a dark, manic sound that sounds like death itself. And then she concludes, "Now, they'll never leave her again."